Update. Am I the a-hole for insisting my brother's girlfriend proves she's pregnant or she has to move out? Original story. My female 20 brother 24 has been on and off with his girlfriend 27 for a couple of years now. It's been the same song and dance. They're happy for a few weeks, then something small happens, they argue, it gets really nasty, and they make up and back to being a loving couple. When I learned my brother got kicked out of his apartment and needed a place to stay, I offered him the extra room in my apartment, and my brother agreed to pay rent, help with the bills, and pitch in with food. For 3 months now, she's been announcing she's pregnant. She alone will eat a snack box with 50 small bags of chips in a week. I try to reason with her and get her to cut back, not only from overeating, but she was running us low on food. But she insists she and the baby are healthy, and it's just cravings, blah blah blah. Since last month, most of what my parents sends to my house. My mom is a couponer, so she bulks shops and give away what she has too much of. My brother's girlfriend is the first to get into it, and a large portion of it has gone by a few days to a week. From a 24 case of Monster, the energy drink if you're not familiar, 8 will be gone in a week from just her. She eats a hell of a lot of food too, most of which no pregnant woman should be consuming so much of. And yes, I know all pregnancies are different, but words can't explain how much she eats in one sitting. So today I had seen her drinking coffee, and after her second cup I asked her if she should be drinking so much, and she said her doctor told her it was fine and she had no worries. When I suggested she take on a healthier diet for the baby, she just scoffed and walked out. I went and asked my brother if he's been to any of her doctor appointments or even seen a positive pregnancy test, and he said he didn't. I confronted her about it, and she said she didn't have to prove anything and started to get defensive. I told her she needed to show a test or some proof of going to the doctor, or she needs to move out if she doesn't help at all. My brother started defending her and changed his answer from not seeing any proof to seeing her pregnancy test. My parents got word of what I said, and my mom says I was in no place to say anything and every woman's body is different, and I wouldn't know since I've never been pregnant. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Kinda not the hole. Asking for proof is extreme, but she's also eating you out of house and home. Even if she's actually pregnant, she probably needs to find a place of her own and get herself her own food. Do you really want a family of 3 living with you when the mom and dad have a crap show of a relationship? Spoiler alert, you do not. Yeah, I see I was wrong for that. He said he only needed a few months to get back on their feet and to get his own place again. So I wasn't worried about them still living with me in the future. Except they haven't moved out, and depending on your lease, they could be considered tenants now, meaning you would have a hell of a hard time kicking them out. If she won't contribute financially, tell her she needs to buy her own groceries, or with your brother, and they're no longer allowed to eat your groceries at all. Not today home, and if your mother is so concerned, maybe she should house your brother and his girlfriend. She's the one that forced my brother to get his own apartment by kicking him out, because she was sick of their arguing. You're the a-hole. You don't need to know she's pregnant. Just say, you're eating all my food. I need you to start buying your own food or paying extra rent to cover it. Accusing someone of faking a pregnancy doesn't usually end well. And if she is, she can just fake a miscarriage, and you're still the a-hole. I know she's being ridiculous and it's hard to watch, but right now she's just looping you into her cycle of drama that she has with your brother. Don't tell pregnant women, or women pretending to be pregnant, what to eat or drink. In general, don't comment on what other people eat or drink at all. If the problem is that she's eating and drinking your food, the solution isn't to police her diet. It's to tell her to stop or make her pay for it. Edit. I did talk to her a while ago about getting a job as well as helping out financially, and she said she'd start and never has. Right, so based on majority of the comments, I overstepped, yes. But I'm going to go with my gut on this one and give them their 30 days notice and call it a day. I'll for sure update you guys in a month, when they're to be gone, and let you all who's interested know what's happened by then. I keep repeating myself, so let me add my brother knows everything I've said. The excessive caffeine, no ultrasound, etc. Yes, my brother still buys her tampons monthly, and I know this because it goes with me when I buy mine. No, I was not faking concern by the coffee comment. She drinks 2 cups of coffee a day along with a Monster. That's a ton of caffeine. And now for the update. Okay, so I gave my brother and his girlfriend a 30 days notice. They were to leave this Friday, but as of last Friday, I have my place to myself again. Basically, they fed me a bunch of lies since I gave them the 30 days notice. First, it was she can't get an appointment or an ultrasound because of all of the COVID patients. Then brother's girlfriend shows me a sonogram picture of her phone that I later found on Google Images. He asked why it was on her phone, and she said it was emailed to her after her doctor's appointment that she couldn't get. Then my brother brought home baby clothes last week, to sell the lie, I guess, but they weren't clothes for a newborn. It was a lot of 9 to 12 months and 2 T's. When I asked him why none were proper clothes for newborns, he said, so he can grow into them. Was told she was pregnant with a girl. I didn't bother to ask any more questions because I knew it was going to be lies on top of lies. Then Friday got home to them arguing at each other's throats. Eventually I called the cops because they weren't letting up. At this point, they both had to come clean with the truth. Brother's truth. His girlfriend is the reason he was kicked out of his place. Then she needed a place to stay because her parents kicked her out. So she forced him to let her stay in my house by faking being pregnant. He said after the first month, he knew she wasn't pregnant because she got her period, but she forced him to keep up the lie so I'd let her stay. Girlfriend's truth. Brother invited her to stay at my place, and to make sure I wouldn't say no, he told her to fake a pregnancy and I'd be sympathetic. Won't go into detail, but I'm 100% certain that part she said was true, and I wouldn't question her using tampons as I'll make up a lie for her. She said he told her to eat up all of the food because it'll make it all seem legit. So that's about all. I'm still unsure who's telling the truth, but they both got all of their belongings and went their own way, I assume, so it's not my problem anymore. Great update. Glad you followed your feeling. You don't need a drama. It could have backfired. Luckily it didn't. Still sucks he used my past against me, but it is what it is. Can only move forward from here. Know what relationship you have with your brother. He sees no issue with lying to you for whatever profit. Keep that in mind, and take care. Thanks for the update. And obviously the trash took itself out now and you have your home back. And you know neither of them can ever be trusted. Right? Thank goodness Opie threw them out before it got to the miscarriage part of their story. So your brother and his girlfriend both admitted to lying to you. Who cares which one had idea first? In order to manipulate and take advantage of you? Yep, you're well rid of them. Let your mom know the situation so they can't try the same crap with her. Yeah, I came here to say this too. She was living with 2 manipulative liars. Doesn't really matter which one is better at coming up with stories. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for snapping at my wife and calling her selfish? I never loved my daughter. Not really. I always hated the idea of children, so me and my wife, but mostly me, were super careful. One way or the other though, she got pregnant. I know it happens sometimes, but my wife didn't want to get rid of the baby. We talked about it for a bit, but eventually we agreed to keep the baby because I didn't want to make her feel like she had to do something she didn't want to, especially with her child. So, boom, baby. Except after she had the baby, it didn't seem like she was taking care of her as much as she should have. Sometimes I would come home from work and the baby would be alone with my wife, nowhere to be seen. I didn't want the baby to live a life of being neglected. I'd have us never give her a chance of a good childhood, so I tried to take care of the baby when I could. Admittedly, I was very bad at it. I didn't know how to take care of a baby, which is something I should have begun researching when it was confirmed we were having the baby. I was also never really mentally prepared to care for a baby, as I had never wanted one, and, truth be told, really despised children and taking care of them. But regardless, I still tried to take care of her when my wife wasn't around, which was a lot of time. Fast forward 15 years, my daughter is now 15 years old. I've taken care of this child, put her into school, spent money that I worked for on this kid that I never even wanted, for 15 years now. But my wife still seems to be absent for the child. One evening we were eating dinner, and my wife was talking about how good of a baby she raised. I snapped at her and told her that she had never raised this baby, and that she was selfish for pushing her choice on me. Everything got quiet after that, and we just sort of all left. I know that she was never present for our daughter, but I guess everything from the past years just boiled over. But mostly, I feel bad about saying it in front of my daughter. I don't want her to feel like she's responsible or blame herself for me and my wife's relationship. I want her to live a good life, and I don't want our conflict to ruin that for her. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. So you announced to your daughter that you never wanted her and that your wife forced her on you? You're the a-hole. Honestly, none of the rest of the context matters. This. He could have gotten the vasectomy if it was that big of a deal to him. poor child is the only party not the a-hole here. Good grief, Opie. I understand feeling resentful of your wife's absence, but you should have looked into resolving those issues years ago, rather than spewing them in front of your daughter. Edit. I'm not saying he should have gotten a vasectomy no matter what, but it was a potential option if he knew he despised children so much. Alternatively, he could have left the relationship when his wife decided to keep the baby. But since he decided to stay, he could have made an effort to alter his perception on children, rather than internalizing and spewing the same negativity towards them 15 years later. Everyone sucks here except your daughter. Poor child being told she was never wanted. Congrats, Dad. You've just ensured that she will need therapy for the rest of her life to get over the way you feel about her. Everyone sucks here and you're the a-hole just for the weird attached way you talk about your child and how you resent her. Yikes. The two of you should have put her up for adoption, and at least given her a small chance of being loved. Also, what you said about your daughter being your wife's choice that she pushed on you is absolutely horrendous. I can't believe you said that in front of your daughter. I hope you've got money for therapy for your poor kid. She didn't ask for any of this. You all suck, except the child. I'm seeing a lot of put her up for adoption comments, but I wonder, did the wife who decided to keep the child he didn't want also decide to not allow the adoption for the child he didn't want but she wanted? And that she didn't even have to raise because he did it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents that my brother is not welcome in my house? I don't think I've done something wrong here, but since most of my relatives say I am, I might as well take some further judgment to see if I'm doing something that I haven't realized yet. I'm engaged to a wonderful woman. We are both 25 years old. I've been with her since we were 18. It's been 7 years, and finally we're financially ready to move to our first house. Before we could make the decision to live together in our own place, she stayed over at my house for the past 2 years of the pandemic. We decided it would be best for her to save money for our future house instead of spending it on rent. Her parents also live in another state, so they're far away, and she couldn't stay with them. We got engaged a bit before COVID hit, and been living in my house since. My brother sometimes lives in this house, but he's also got his own place. The house we're living in is my parents'. My brother is a very inappropriate person who never knows where to stop with his jokes. He's implied he's a better fit for my fiancée as a joke. He's flirted with her multiple times while she's visibly uncomfortable. But when I defend my fiancée and tell my brother to leave her alone, he makes fun of me for being insecure that he'll steal my girl. And my mother always justifies him and says he's just joking and I'm overreacting. Last week, during a fight my mom had with my brother basically owes money to my mom, and my mom simply said she wants the money back. She needs it. My brother then insulted my fiancé out of nowhere, telling my mom, if you need the money so much, go get them from that W your other son bangs, who stays rent-free in our house for the past 2 years, and she hasn't put a penny in it. I overheard him saying that and we got in a huge fight. For the record, my fiancé helps a lot with the house, not only in housework but financially too. But due to the fact her paycheck is lower than mine, she gives less money than I do because she can't afford to give more. But she still helps, so my brother's claim is baseless. After some back and forth insults with my brother, he left and I told my mom he's not allowed to step a foot in my new house. Thankfully my fiancé was at work during that fight, so she didn't hear a thing. But I told my mom that him making my fiancé uncomfortable for 2 years straight was bad enough, but him calling her a W is the last straw, and he won't be allowed anywhere near her ever again. My mom, dad, and basically many of my aunts, uncles, and cousins found out about this, and claimed I'm the a-hole, and I'm grateful for daring to ban my brother from my house, and how I should be ashamed to say that. Am I? Not the a-hole. Your house, your rules. Sounds like a dirtbag, to be honest. I hope you and your fiancé have a smooth move-in, and congrats on the new house. 2 years is a long time for your fiancé to endure that type of mistreatment in her own residence. You're the a-hole for not putting a stop to it from the very beginning. Like if that was me, the confrontation would have been loud and severe on day 1. Day 2, if he as so much makes another flirt, yelling would ensue, and no contact until he shapes up and genuinely shows me he changed. I would make that crap awkward as hell that it would freeze it. Grow a backbone, homie. At minimum, it will be your house. And if you don't want him there for any reason, that's your choice. He has continuously disrespected your fiancé and your relationship. No one would want to openly invite that into their house. First of all, you don't have to explain your girlfriend's finances at all. And I would put a stop to that the second he brings it up. Your brother took money from your mom, so he owes it. Nothing else going on in her life matters. Doesn't matter if she lets a million girls stay in her house for free. He owes your mom money and is deflecting responsibility. Your mom? She's an enabler who seems like nurtured this behavior. Even if he's the nicest guy in the world, you're allowed to have boundaries. You can't refuse to allow anyone in your home for any reason. Not only is he nasty to your girlfriend, he's a misogynist, nasty to your mom, a bad brother, and manipulative. People like that only wreak havoc in your life. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for buying my daughter a car for her birthday? My ex and I are divorced. My ex now has a new family, including a son with her new husband. They're 2 years apart, 18 and 16. They both live with my ex and her husband. So after buying my daughter a car for her birthday, my ex gave me a call to tell me that it wasn't fair to buy one kid a car but not the other, now that they both have their license. I can't really understand that perspective since he is not my son. He's hers. She told me that they're still siblings who live together, and now she has a car while he doesn't. She said they can't afford to get him one and that she can tell is jealous and it hurt him. She said she understood where I was coming from, but she still thought it was wrong to get one a car but not the other. I do feel for the kid even though he isn't my own, and his mother and father aren't as financially stable as myself. Edit. In the past, I've gotten him a gift for Christmas, PS5 and some games that my daughter picked out last year. Just because I know his parents can't afford it for Christmas, and I spent a lot on my daughter. And my justification for it was that I didn't want him to feel left out. So I think that's where she got the idea from. So that's my fault. I let his mom give it to him as if they had bought it, just so that it didn't make things between my ex and her new husband awkward. Not today, home. Just because your ex wants equality between her bio kid and his step kid doesn't mean you can't buy nice gifts for your bio kid. Ex's other kid is not your relation. You didn't do this to make the other kid feel bad. He just has no relation to you. You did a nice thing for your daughter, that's the be-all and all. What does your ex want? You to include her step-kid in your inheritance? When does this end? Can you no longer buy nice things for your own daughter? From your ex's response, I can understand why she's an ex. Utterly unreasonable and clueless with it to try to make this your problem. I think she reacted the way she did, since last year I bought her son a PS5 and some games, upon my daughter's suggestion, for Christmas, so that he wouldn't felt left out when he got my daughter more expensive gifts than his parents would be giving him. So I sort of set the standard. Not today, home. Not your kid. Not your financial concern. I want a car too at his age. Guess what? I work jobs to save up for one. Either his parents or himself can do that. Can't stand entitled people trying to push your limit just because you were generous with past gifts. Am I the a-hole for throwing out my husband's dinner after I went to eat at his mom's house? My mother-in-law calls every night to ask what we're having for dinner. Then she brags about what she's cooking to make me look bad, especially for getting takeout. I used to care, but not anymore. But my husband would ask me to make dinner, only for him to go eat the dinner his mom makes at her home, which is 10 minutes away, and using the "that's my favorite meal" excuse. Yesterday, I wanted to surprise him by cooking one of his favorite meals, and although I was busy, I took time off work to cook. I even went grocery shopping to get what I needed. Later, as I was setting the table, his mom called. I told him he didn't have to answer, but he did. And like usual, she asked what we were having, but acted surprised that I cooked this meal. She then went on to tell him she cooked X meal and told him to come over. He said okay, which shocked me. I said, seriously? As he started dressing up getting ready to leave. He told me no offense, but this meal that his mom cooked was even more of a favorite than the one I cooked, and grabbed his keys and left. I felt awful. I took his plate and threw it out, then ate my portion. As I was about to put the plate in the dishwasher, he got home looking angry, saying his mom lied about cooking that favorite meal, and used it as an excuse to force him to eat dinner with her. I was shocked. But he sat down telling me to go ahead and reheat dinner. I told him no dinner after he abandoned it. I threw it out. He said, what? And I told him he disrespected my time and effort and chose to go eat with his mom instead. He began yelling at me, asking if I really did that. then called me petty and horrible, then went upstairs saying what I did was 100 times worse than what his mom did. I definitely feel like I let my anger and frustrations get the best of me, but it really felt unbearable having to live like this for so long. By the way, I'm 26 and he's 28. Edited to add to make one thing clear, and that's the fact that my husband only does this when it comes to food. He lived with his mom, attended community college, and loved and still loves her food and is used to it. She gave me recipes to make and I tried to do that, but he keeps switching homes just to eat what he feels like. Now for the top comments. Not stay home. Why in the world is he telling you to go heat dinner? Did a T-Rex attack him and eats his arms on the way back from his mom's? Did he try to catch a piano falling from the sky so it didn't land on a child playing and all his fingers are broke? Did he anger a forest fairy and she cursed him and now he has 2 sets of flags instead of hands? Or is that him waving a huge red flag? These are all good theories, but have you considered that her husband may actually be a stray cat enchanted to appear human? That would explain why he wanders from house to house asking to be fed, and then picks and chooses from what's offered. If you're gonna keep a stray cat, don't forget to neuter him. Not stay home. Your husband can either commit to eating at home with you, tell you well before dinner that he's eating with his mom, or he can make his own meals. Until he starts regularly making a choice to be home or go with enough time for you to plan and prep your cooking, cook enough for only you, is on his own. Edited to add, I wasn't going to say it because I feel it's obvious, but I can't help myself. This is much larger of an issue than dinner time. There is a profound lack of respect in your relationship. Husband needs to snip the apron strings at the very least, but really needs to spend some serious time thinking about what the marriage and partnership actually means. Not stay home. You didn't make him lick the empty plate, did you? I say you were restrained. My mother-in-law was an award-winning Southern chef. My husband is a chef. My son is a chef. I cook well, but I'm not a chef. Not one of them has ever disrespected my cooking. People who are genuinely good at something and confident in their abilities don't usually feel the need to put others down. This is 1,000,000 times over. Talent isn't afraid of other people's interest and ability. Also, not stay home. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for my reasons of no +1s on my wedding, causing several people not to attend? I'm getting married, and like every other bride, I too have certain rules I want for my wedding to go smoothly. One of them is the no +1s rule. Only people named in the invitation are invited. The criteria I have for people who will get to bring their partners are 1. Both me and my fiancé know of your partner and have met them. If I know your partner and my fiancé doesn't, that disqualifies them and vice versa. 2. If I'd personally go to dinner with you and your partner. 3. If I'd invite your partner as a separate person anyway and not just because they're your partner. 4. If your partner is also a friend of mine. Those who meet that criteria get to bring their partners. If they don't, then they don't bring them. Simple. That also includes long-term relationships, engaged couple, and married couples as well. We know it might seem harsh, but those are the rules we've decided to set so we can be more comfortable. It has nothing to do with budget or venue capacity. Purely our choice. Several people have denied the invitation to our wedding due to these rules. One of them is also my cousin. My cousin has been engaged to this girl for 1 year now and he was upset we didn't include her. The reason she was excluded was because my fiancé hasn't met her, and she's not a person I'd personally be friends with either. I told my cousin how heartbroken I am that he will not come to the wedding due to this, and I expressed my distaste for the fact that he can't be away from his fiancé for a few hours to honor me and my fiancé. Couples don't have to be together the whole time. Then he basically told me I'm being extremely disrespectful and a huge a-hole. I asked him to explain, and he said word for word, "Let me get this clear. You want me to come to honor you to your wedding, honor your love story and all that, but you can't respect me enough to invite my fiancé? I can be without my fiancé for several hours. Heck, we can even spend days apart on vacations with our own separate friend group sometimes. What bothers me is not being away from my fiancé for some hours, but the fact that you excluded her for those reasons." I told him those are the rules. Take it or leave it. He says he finds my rules extremely disrespectful, but since it's my wedding, he has no say in it. I told him good, and to stop BSing me then and show his support and respect by attending. He said that while he respects my extremely exclusive and disrespectful rules, I'm a fool to believe that he will care more about valuing my wedding over his fiancée. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole for guilt-tripping your cousin and anyone else you try to pull this crap with. Your wedding, your rules. But people are allowed to not attend for not liking your rules. Suck it up. Right? The girl is literally pending their own wedding. Family. Hope he's probably not getting an invitation to theirs either. Haha. You're the a-hole. And she'll have the audacity to wonder why and think her cousin is being a jerk. She's the a-hole for sure. Only Opie appears to be able to have rules. The cousin's rule is to not attend weddings where he can't bring his fiancée, which I find to be totally reasonable. Opie doesn't believe others are allowed to be upset with her rules, but she's allowed to be upset with others' rules. You're the a-hole. You want people to come celebrate your marriage and your relationship by asking them to leave their spouse or long-term partner at home? You are misusing the word +1. That is intended for truly single people. Established couples are to be treated as a unit. Sure, your wedding and your rules and all that BS. But if you create BS rules like this, you have to expect people to decline. If I had a relative tell me my spouse wasn't invited because circumstances hadn't allowed the two of them to meet yet, I decline too. Agreed. And an invitation is just that. An invitation, and not a summon. If people RSVP declining to come, they can decline for any reason. Absurd rules or not. Personally, I would decline in an instant if my significant other, dating, engaged, married, or otherwise, was not invited. Expect the same respect for your new marriage as you've shown those other long-term relationships. You're the a-hole. Yep, Opie gonna be real pissed in the future when her spouse is not invited to family gatherings, but she did it to herself. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not reading my ex-friend's essay about everything wrong with me? Recently, a friend, 32 female of 9 years Hawaii, 27 female considered one of my good friends, texted me completely out of the blue saying that she didn't want to come to my wedding or be my friend anymore. Some backstory. I knew the friendship was fading but had just assumed we would slowly go our separate ways. Over the past few years, I have often gone to her house to comfort her about everything that went wrong in her life, including things she really had a choice in changing. Example, she didn't counter offer enough at her job before signing the contract. Her new boyfriend snores and then she yells at him. Her new e-scooter's battery is too heavy to get to her great new job, etc. In contrast, in the past few years, my two parents have had 3 cancer diagnoses between them. And my sister died, and anytime I try to talk to her about this, she just changed the subject. Anyway, this all happened 3 days after coming to my apartment, laughing, chatting, and exchanging gifts and books. When she was at my house, the only moment that seemed to upset her is when I asked her if she wanted to help organize my bachelorette party. She said she felt she wouldn't do a good job. I said I didn't really care, and wasn't sure if I wanted one anyway, and it could just be drinks and a movie at my place, if that. She was a bit cagey about it, but at no point said no. Perhaps I could have picked up on this. But also, I think if you don't want to do something, just tell me. So, a few days later, I get this long text saying he didn't want to be my friend anymore or come to my wedding. I was obviously upset because any rejection feels like garbage, and I tried to call her to discuss it, but she wouldn't pick up. She said we should take time to let it sink in. I was still upset, but just decided to give her some time. After a day or two, I realized that anyone who would act like she did with no explanation wasn't someone I wanted to be friends with anyway. 5 days later, she messages to say she has written an essay on all her issues with me that I won't like. Also, that it is too big to send by WhatsApp, frequently used in Europe for texting, so she will email it to me? This was accompanied by a lot of smiley emojis and friendly exclamation marks. I told her not to send the essay because I wouldn't read it as I no longer wanted anything to do with her, and I blocked her on WhatsApp. She then sent me green texts telling me I wouldn't grow if I didn't read this essay and that I was selfish. I then blocked her and everything. I'm I'm sure it wasn't fully in the right, but the way she dealt with this whole situation seems completely wild to me. Am I the a-hole for not reading her letter? Now for the comments. The fact that this person thinks it's appropriate to send you an essay detailing everything they think is wrong with you tells me that you're not a problem here. Not the a-hole. But how will she ever grow as a human unless she reads the essay? Maybe she decides to grow as a mildly annoyed duck. Who are you to decide her career? Yeah, you're not the a-hole. Your friend has ended this and now seems to be telling you you're the problem? I wouldn't want to hear it either, so you're completely correct to ask for it not to be sent. People like that seem to believe they are better than everyone else and are never to blame for anything. In my experience, they usually are the main cause of most issues and actually have very warped sense of self and the world around them. She sounds jealous of you and is trying to rain on your parade. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Friends don't need to break up with long dramatic text messages or essays. They can just stop hanging out. If she just wants drama, she can go watch Netflix or something instead. Absolutely this. I've always had way more respect for the friend that just slowly distanced herself from me until I got a hint than I do for the friend who chewed me out aggressively for 5 minutes and then tried to be like, I'm happy to see you around and be civil though. Last story. Am I the a-hole for saying I'll drop out as a groomsman over my sister's wedding if she includes our mom's ex? My mom and I raised my younger sisters and I, now 24 female, 26 female, and 32 male, mostly alone. When we were really young, there were some POS boyfriends including my bio dad, but when we were 0, 2, and 8, she moved us to a new town and started fresh, just a single mom. But when we were 8, 10, and 16, her boyfriend/partner Henry also moved in with us part-time and eventually full-time. We had an okay relationship with Henry. He was fine, but we weren't close. After high school, I enlisted, and when we were 12, 14, and 20, he cheated and they broke up. He then married a woman he cheated with 0.001 seconds later. My mom was devastated, especially because she didn't date much to begin with, because she'd had bad experiences in the past. I really thought he was one of the good ones. He was the first guy she'd taken a chance with in a decade. Post-divorce fallout, Henry did keep in touch, but I didn't really respond. My middle sister did though. She would still talk to Henry. My mom knew and hated it, but didn't stop it. And Henry and his wife would reward her for it by buying her things my mom couldn't afford to buy for her, like a new MacBook, and even letting him give her a bit of money for her college tuition. He offered it to all three of us, but she's the only one who accepted. Now, sister is getting married, and my mom, as promised years ago, gave her a budget of $10,000 for her wedding. She had already told me in private that Henry and his wife would be in attendance, and I guessed they'd given her money as well, even though she was telling my mom that she/significant other were covering the rest. She told me officially today that they were giving her $10,000 as well, and the wedding budget is $16,000, so she'll get to keep what she doesn't spend. She told me that she wanted my support in breaking this to our mom at some point before the wedding, and that at the actual wedding, she wanted to acknowledge Henry/his wife in their thank you speeches, and have Henry at the head table. Her husband is estranged from his family, so the seating would go left to right. Her 3 bridesmaids, our mom, her, the groom, Henry, the 3 groomsmen. I said that she could do what she wanted, but that I thought it was embarrassing for our mom, especially in front of our extended family. She got upset, and I finally said, look, if you want this so bad, fine, but I'm not sitting at the same table as him then, so I guess you'll be down a groomsman. She said, you're not going to go, and I said I'll go. I'm just not willing to sit 2 seats down from the guy who cheated on our mom, and who you only like because he buys you things. She got even more upset, and called me names on the phone and later over text. Our youngest sister refuses to get involved, and just wants us to get along. She's never taken money from him, but she's also one of those people who hates people spending money on her, so she hasn't taken money from anyone else either. Not today, home. She's choosing to hurt your mom for money. I wouldn't stand up for her either. I don't care if the wild speculators are right about her choosing the cheater over the innocent victim, because he's the only father figure in her life, and she's actually choosing to hurt her mom for her dad, not just for money. Her mom being the only mother figure in her life doesn't seem to mean anything to her. Not stay home. I wouldn't go either, and I hope your mom doesn't. Not stay home. Your sister needs to woman up here. If she wants a relationship with Henry, or at least Henry's money, so be it. But she can't compel the rest of you to be on board with that. And she certainly isn't going to be able to do it by hiding the truth. So tell her to tell mom on her own, before you need to give her a heads up that she's going to be sharing a table with her cheating ex and his affair partner. I'd prefer it if she hid it by not putting him at head table and thanking him in private. It's hurtful to our mom. But she is telling her. That's why she called me. She was telling me first, but planning to tell her soon. Normally we just hide stuff like this. Your sister is a self-absorbed, selfish prick. Not gonna lie, I kinda hope karma gets her and she has a similar life to her mom, where her own kids choose money over the person who single-handedly raised them. Praying for karma against her. I personally would be no contact with someone like your sister. If she could do this to her own mother, I can only imagine what she can do to others. Am I the a-hole for favoring some of my nibbling over the ones that were made out of an affair behind my back? When I was 24, I experienced the biggest betrayal of my life. My ex-wife, Helen, had an affair with my brother, Jason. It wasn't just that I found out about the affair, but I also learned that the child I had been raising for almost 3 years wasn't mine. It was Jason's. We got divorced, and I made sure Helen was drained in the divorce. After the divorce, Helen and Jason got married and I told Jason he was dead to me. I made it clear that whatever kids he had in the future would never be considered my family. Fast forward to now, Jason's oldest kid is 15. I don't interact with him or his other 3 siblings. I'm not rude to them, but I keep it civil at most. I won't lie, I favor my other nieces and nephews from my younger sister over Jason's kids. I take them out, buy them things, and genuinely enjoy spending time with them. I love them with all my heart, and I know they love me too. I'm not married and don't plan to be again, but I'm in a long-term relationship and have a well-paying job. Because of that, I can afford to spend on my nieces and nephews, and I don't hesitate to do so, within reason of course. Recently, I bought my nephew Tyler a new monitor and PC. He's really into gaming, and his whole setup was getting outdated. So I thought he could use an upgrade. A couple of days ago, I took him out, and when I went to pick him up, Jason and his family were there. I ignored Helen and Jason, said hi to my sister and the kids, and left with Tyler. When we got back, Tyler was, of course, excited and showing off the new gear. I could tell Jason's kids were jealous, but that's not my problem. Tyler went upstairs to set it up, and Jason and his family left. Later, my sister pulled me aside and asked if I could stop buying expensive stuff like that in front of Jason's kids, because it hurt their feelings. I told her that wasn't my issue. In the real world, they're going to see other people getting things they can't have, and they'll just have to deal with it. She accused me of punishing them for what Helen and Jason did, but I told her I wasn't. We went back and forth, with her asking if I was punishing innocent kids. I told her again that just because I wasn't spending money on them didn't mean I was punishing them. I got frustrated and told her if she was so worried, I could stop supporting her kids and give that money to Jason's kids instead. That shut her up and I left. Later, she called me and said she just felt bad for them. She understood why I wasn't close to them, but mentioned how often Jason's kids ask why I hate them and why they can't have fun with me too. She asked me to at least consider building a relationship with them, even if I don't spend money on them. I don't understand why I should feel obligated. I don't owe them anything. They have 2 other uncles and 2 aunts, so it's not like they're deprived of family. Why should I force myself to spend time or money on kids that were born out of an affair? To me, that's all they are, especially the one I raised for 3 years. It's also infuriating that they only told me about the affair because Jason finally wanted to be a dad. What if he had never decided that, and I ended up raising another man's child for even longer? Now they expect me to put my feelings aside again? I already did that during the divorce, when my parents and siblings sided with Jason and Helen, just because she was pregnant. The only person who supported me at my lowest was my sister, the one here now. I know she means well, but I'm tired of this situation. That's why I'm here. I feel like a mess and just need some outside opinions. What do you think? Now for the top comments. Don't cut off your relationship with your sister or her kids. But tell her that if she doesn't want things to be awkward with Jason, Helen, or their kids, she should make sure you never run into them at her place. If they drop by unexpectedly when you are coming over, she should text you so that you can stay away. And she should tell her kids not to brag to their cousins about stuff you give them. Jason and Helen's kids should absolutely know the history of why you don't have a relationship with them. The 15-year-old in particular is old enough to understand. It won't be pleasant knowledge for them, but somebody needs to tell them that you don't just randomly hate them because of something wrong with them. Kids tend to assume the worst about themselves, and it's not fair to them to let them go on thinking they did something to alienate you. I'm not saying you should push yourself to have a relationship with them, but they deserve the truth, in an age-appropriate way. So true. Kids often blame themselves when things are not right. Share the truth with them, and let their parents explain what garbage they are to the kids. The fact that the kids are asking questions points to the truth coming out sooner or later. And that will hurt the kids even more, and it will be entirely their own fault. Not the a-hole. Your ex had a long-term affair with your brother and lied to your face daily the entire time she let you think the child you raised for almost 3 years was yours when it was his. Why in the world would anyone think you would want anything to do with your ex and your brother? And as there is no relationship with them, why would you have a relationship with your children? Yes, it is sad, but innocents are sometimes the victim of the poor decisions made by their parents. I wonder if your sister's husband came home, told her he was leaving her for her other sister, then had kids with her other sister. Would she run right out and have a loving relationship with those kids? Next story. Am I the a-hole for giving my son a down payment on a house but not my daughter? I have 2 kids, a son and a daughter. My son is a hard-working guy, been saving up for years, but he is struggling to get a house in today's insane market. My daughter, on the other hand, married a wealthy guy a few years back. Her husband's family is loaded, and they live in a big fancy house that, frankly, makes ours look like a shack. No shame, just reality. My son finally found a place he loves, but he was short on the down payment. My wife and I decided to help him out, give him some cash to make it happen. We're not talking millions here, just enough to get him over the line. He's super grateful, and honestly, it feels good to be able to do that for him. Now, my daughter heard about it and she's furious. She's accusing us of favoritism, saying that we never gave her any financial help like this. Thing is, we did help her a lot in the past. She was kind of a mess growing up, always getting in trouble, dropping out of college, even a stint in rehab. We spent a small fortune getting her life back on track, and when she married into money, we thought, great, she's set now. We're not exactly rolling in it ourselves, so helping her husband buy a 3rd vacation home is not on our list of priorities. Now she's telling everyone I'm playing favorites and it's driving a wedge in the family. I don't think it's unreasonable to help my son get a house when he's starting from scratch, especially since we've already given her so much support over the years. So am I the a-hole here, or is my daughter just entitled? Not the a-hole. Tell her that you have supported them each financially in the way that they needed. She got rehab, and he got a house. Or ignore her and don't explain it at all, because you don't owe an explanation to a grown adult that's acting like a spoiled brat. She doesn't need help with a house, and her brother does. Why is that a problem for her? He is just helping his son get on his feet. His daughter is already well off, so it makes sense that his son would need more financial support at this point. They already helped her daughter through rehab and getting to her feet. My parents helped my siblings by guaranteeing both their home loans. For me, they gave me $10,000 for a home, as after retirement they disqualify as guarantors. They babysat thousands of hours for my siblings, for actual kids and pets over ongoing 20+ years. But I have asked maybe 100 hours in total for my cats over 4 years. Yeah, count out the total in both hours and dollars. Bet the daughter is up thousands. I'm in recovery and went to rehab 5 times. My family spent at least $100,000 desperately trying to get me sober. They've gone to family days at some of these rehabs and spoken to their other families. Some took out second mortgages on their houses and other drastic measures. It's expensive to get actual good treatment, in the US at least. Next story. Am I the a-hole for letting my ex and my kids' half-siblings be poor when I could help? I have an ex with whom I share 2 kids, 13 male and 12 male. Our relationship did not work out and we broke up 7 years ago. Since I was the financially stable one, she wanted me to have full custody. I have had full custody ever since. She has visitation, but she only uses it intermittently. Quickly after the breakup, she started dating a guy with money. He is from overseas. She quickly got pregnant by the guy and they had a son. The guy did not want to raise someone else's kids, so she moved 3 hours away and completely stopped seeing our kids for almost 2 years. It turns out the guy's money was actually family money, and when his conservative family found out about my ex and the baby, they cut them off. Also, their son had some developmental issues. She got pregnant again, and a few months later, her boyfriend left and returned to his home country. She is now 6-ish months pregnant with no job and taking care of a special needs kid. She called me last week and asked me for financial help. They're living out of a motel and she is running out of money. I have a lake house about 30 minutes from her. She asked if she could stay there. I said no. She asked if I would send her money. I said no. She called me an a-hole. She said that I am letting my family suffer unnecessarily when I have the means to help. I told her I have no obligation to help, and we have been arguing ever since. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You have responsibilities to your kids, as did she, but she doesn't have custody, so let's say that's not part of this particular question. You do not have responsibility to your ex or any other kids she has. She can call you anything she wants. She's your ex. You can't facilitate visitation or anything else that's for the benefit of your 2 children. But it's more than reasonable to say no to anything else. She needs to chase the other kid's father or other family down for their support if she can. Correct. My ex has kids with a new person. I have no desire to meet them. My son occasionally interacts with them, which is fine. But I have no obligation or responsibility in that. They have 2 parents. I'm not one of them. Did she have second thoughts before leaving her own kids for another man? No. She was heartless, so then now she can't request anything. Have you ever contacted your lawyer when she moved and dropped contact with your kids? It might be a good idea. Protect your children from this on and off relationship. It's not heating emotionally. Basically was told that it is virtually impossible to remove visitation rights without some evidence of abuse. That might have been good advice at a time, but with a history of abandoning the children for 2 to 3 years, moving away, still not really actively pursuing visitation, etc., I would disagree that you can't have visitation dropped, especially if your kids aren't interested in seeing her. As you've indicated that you are financially stable, it would be worth consulting with an attorney. Protecting your biological children trumps all. Just my thoughts. The people who told me it was basically impossible are my attorneys. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to cancel my vacation after my brother demanded I pay for his emergency surgery instead? So here's the situation. I, 30 female, have been planning a 2-week vacation to Europe with my partner for the past year. We've both saved up a lot of money for this trip, and it's a big deal for us because we've never been on a major vacation together before. The flights, hotels, everything has already been paid for. Last week, my brother, 35 male, called me in a panic, saying he needs emergency surgery for a dental issue. It's not life-threatening, but his tooth infection is bad, and it needs to be dealt with soon. He doesn't have insurance due to lifetime of bad financial decisions, and the procedure is going to cost about $10,000. He asked me to loan him the money, but there's no way I have an extra $10,000 lying around after paying for this vacation. When I told him that, he got mad and said I should cancel my trip to help him, since family comes first. He even suggested I ask for refunds on the flights and hotels, as though that would magically solve the problem. I told him I felt bad for his situation, but I wasn't going to cancel a trip we'd been planning for a year over his poor financial choices, especially when this isn't a life or death situation. He lost it, called me selfish, accused me of abandoning him in his time of need, and got our mom involved. Now my mom is pressuring me to cancel and help him out, saying it's just a vacation and I can always reschedule. But I don't think it's fair that I should be expected to sacrifice something I've worked hard for because my brother can't handle his own responsibilities. Am I the a-hole? Is he lying about the cost to drain me of money or something? Now for the comments. And how much is mom contributing, since she's butting in? The dentist has payments planned too. Care credit is a thing, and I want to know what dental procedure costs $10,000 that deals in infections, because I've been through a load of dental procedures, and none of them came close to that amount. I used to be a dental assistant. There is no emergency that is $10,000. A tooth extraction with bone graft and implant don't cost anywhere near that much. My first thought was that this procedure isn't going to cost that much. My second thoughts was that bills from urgent dental procedures that aren't covered by insurance are usually sent to his home after the procedure is finished. Even hypothetically, if OP offered to pay, she could ask to see the bill/claim and pay the dental office directly. My third thought was that the brother probably would have demanded that OP pay him directly and not the dentist, which is a total BS because he doesn't need the money for a dental procedure. He chose a dental procedure because it's not like OP can open his mouth and check that the surgery actually happened. The money would be gone, and OP would have been funding another one of his crappy financial decisions. Not the a-hole, he's trying to scam you. Last story. Am I the a-hole for confronting my daughter-in-law about her constant lying and refusing to apologize? I, 56 female, have a son and things have been tense because of his wife, Emily, 28 female. I've noticed over the past year that Emily tends to stretch the truth or flat-out lie about things, both big and small. At first, it was little things, like saying she couldn't come to family dinners because of work, only to post on social media that she was out with friends. Then it escalated to bigger things. One example that really bothered me happened recently. We were both supposed to attend a charity fundraiser. I was there the entire evening and never saw her. When I later asked if she had made it, she insisted that she had been there the whole time, and even said she saw me but was too busy to come say hi. This wasn't true. I know for a fact she wasn't there. The volunteers list was small and I definitely would have seen her. We are all in the same room. More recently, she lied about something involving a family event. We were planning a small gathering for my husband's birthday, and Emily told me she'd arranged a cake from his favorite bakery. The day of the party, she showed up empty-handed, claiming they lost the order. When I called the bakery to see what happened, they had no record of any order ever being placed. That was the last straw for me. I pulled her aside later and confronted her about her constant lying. I tried to be calm and respectful, but I told her that her dishonesty was starting to affect how I viewed her and that it was creating tension in the family. She literally messed up my husband's birthday with these lies. She completely denied it and got really upset, saying I was making her out to be a bad person and that I was overreacting. My son got involved and is now angry with me. The whole thing has caused a rift, and now Emily refuses to come to any family gatherings unless I apologize. I feel like I had every right to call her out, and I have nothing to apologize for. Not the a-hole. I could not tolerate that lying either. Apparently your son does tolerate it, or he's in denial. You may have to choose between being right and having a relationship with your son, unfortunately. I truly have no idea what he is doing. It's so obvious. I don't know how he doesn't see it. Have you had a conversation with him about it? Yeah, I did that before. He brushes it off, claims I am trying to start an issue.